freak, and I just want to take a look at that last fight again because it caught us off guard on the analyst desk. So we're going to do that first. We're going to get this out of the way. Let's figure out how this game actually ended before we go and break it down. We're going to pull that up on your screen, and we're just going to start rolling it out right away.
Yeah, we have to figure out what happened because we were all ready to crown Impulse for this fantastic comeback. So
that's it. Maple Street gets to the back line.
Flanked.
He's actually the third assassin on this fight. He solos out Apollo, and then he goes into the pit and gets Xiao Wei Xiao from behind. So it looked like TIP were too focused on Slushy and Cali Trolls, and they forgot about Maple, who's pretty much been a non-factor this game.
To be fair, as they just pushed through, and here we're also wondering whether or not Rush should have tried to just kill the Nexus. And, like, he wouldn't have had time, plus Cali Trolls had his teleport up. At the very least, we thought maybe Rush tries to do it anyway just to cause panic. But once the 3 damage dealers were down on Impulse for no retaliation kills, the game was over.
Also, the top inhibitor does respond too.
That's very true.
Also have to power
so unfortunate timing on that as well. But essentially, yeah, your hope there would be to cause panic in teammate and maybe force a couple of them to back. I mean, that game was nuts, right? Because we saw teammate get out to an incredible early lead. They were up 8K at 30 minutes, 12-2 in kills, right? And then we watched them kind of hand the lead back. And things were all evened up, if not even tipped a little bit into TIP's favor. And then the counter throw.
Yes, the counter throw.
The counter throw.
Let's begin at the start.
Okay.
Yeah, yes, exactly.
Some fantastic outplays in the mid lane by Slushy's LeBlanc. I mean, the first counter gank was so exquisite there, where he dodged away from Jarvan and still landed the chain. Then he just started killing Rush again and again and made it seem like the game would just descend into total chaos, and it pretty much did. That was the teammate style. 2 assassins-ish. I mean, Fizz is more of a Relia right now with that build.
Yeah.
But 2 assassins that can go around and create small skirmish fights. And for the most part, that seemed like that should have been the game.
Yeah,
exactly. They had created that kind of chaos that they normally look for the small skirmishes, which brought them to that 12-2 point. But then where you would normally expect that team comp to just roll over people now. You've got a big LeBlanc and a big Fizz. You should just win any team fight you find yourselves in.
One would think.
If you have all 5 people there.
Yeah.
Cali Trolls takes red buff, runs bottom, has no TP, and then Slushy gets caught out trying to assassinate an AD carry. Because that's what he's been doing all game, right? You get ahead on LeBlanc, you go for those squishy AD carries, and then he gets caught by Maokai, who just has the point and click, and they take him out. And then that's how the lead actually started getting reversed too. And then Slushy goes for like Xiao Wei Xiao at one point and gets hit by impact. Like the point and click frontline really kind of turned that around, because then it became frontline versus frontline. And Maokai Jarvan, a little bit better than just a solo Rek'Sai.
Absolutely. Yeah. Two players, though, I want to point out. One we already mentioned, Slushy, pulling out some great individual plays to get himself ahead. Definitely one of the bright spots for teammate. As was mentioned, that's Adrian mentioned, that's who they look at as one of the big threats on teammate, but Porpoise.
Yeah.
I feel we had the interview with him, which is great, but I feel may have gone unnoticed in that game. But 2-0-13 on Rek'Sai, and in his early game had incredible presence with that counter gank in the mid lane, and also saved people multiple times by showing up for counter ganks in the top lane and things like that.
Yeah, he was always present, and I think he was a big part of the frustration on Rush at the early game, because even he's like, I'm down a level, down a longsword, still fighting him in the jungle.
Bodies him at the double golems there, or the Krugs.
Taking all of his pressure off the map for a huge part of the early game, which allowed the skirmisher comp to just be like, all right, even though we're down in CS, we're going to group up, push Rush out of the fight so we know that it's a 1-on-2, and then we go in.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think that's pretty much how, as far as we can go with the analysis of that game, in that,
ridiculous.
You know, yes, exactly. It was a little ridiculous.
Total chaos team composition, working in the sense, mainly because Porpoise Pops got the roamers going. Then they start making really foolish roam decisions. Impulse starts capitalizing. We see how well their team composition works, tank lines and everything. And then at the end of the game, Maple Street turns it on and makes the one play that just decides to win the game.
That's the thing is, right, he hasn't really done a whole lot this game, but it's like that one play, even though they had all these throws and stuff, he's the one person who actually was relatively consistent on the team and then shows up big in the last fight. So if I had to give like an MVP for that, it would probably be Maple off that one thing.
It's also the threat of moving into those late games because of death timers. Now, we do have to mention a tweet that we got from @AwesomeRob, who's figured out our secret to a good analyst segment. He writes, "Something LCS has taught me. Holding a pen while talking about something makes you 20% more factual and 20% more professional.
I agree.
Not wrong.
That's why if you drop a pen, like, I would look foolish if I just had a piece of paper up there with no pen.
What are you doing with that piece of paper? You can't write on that. Well, thank you for that, Rob. You are awesome. We are going to step away, but meet us back here for Game 3, Team Liquid versus Gravity. The NA LCS continues after this.
Let's get back into the action with the rematch between Teammate and Team Impulse. The real thing, Slushy and the team coming up. Dodo takes that one. The teleport's gonna be right on the team.
Shoot him by. Okay, let's side.
Okay, go, right side. Piss. I'm healing you.
Piss. Nice.
Go. 10 seconds on my W.
Okay, it's okay.
Dragon.
Quick draw and flashing out. Dip, dodging, doing everything they can, but Impulse has their number.
Ezreal.
I got him.
Jarvan. Mid.
Teammate pull the trigger.